Hi, I'm Joy Vernon, and today I have a deck flip through for you. It's an oracle deck, and it is a wonderful addition to your collection for Halloween, for the Scorpio season in general. And it is a Gothic Witches Oracle. And this is by Raven Digitalis, and the art is by John Santerineross. And it's a photographic art, and very Gothic, very interesting, very scorpionic. So I think that you will enjoy this. A Gothic Witches Oracle. So I already opened the deck. This is actually the second time I'm doing the video, but we've got our guidebook here. And you can see that it is a really nice one with good quality paper and about 4 pages per card, full color illustrations. It doesn't have any fluff, it's just all good quality info on each card. And the deck, the book is by Raven Digitalis, and he has some key themes for each card and a title for the card, and then there's what he calls the esoteric summary, and then activating the insight. So he gives you some practices and some suggestions for practices that you can use when working with this deck. And so now let's take a look at the cards themselves. And I do want to thank Raven Digitalis himself, as well as the publisher Crossed Crow Books, for sending me a copy of this that I could review. I've reviewed one other deck by Raven Digitalis. I did the Empath's Oracle. So I'm a little bit familiar with some of the work that he does, and I've got to say, Raven Digitalis's card titles are really evocative for the work that is embodied in the deck, or that is the theme of the deck. In this case, it'll be shadow work or deep dive into the interior, again, appropriate for Scorpio season. So we start with embracing musical healing, constructing a shadow shrine, accepting inner beauty, rejecting social conditioning. And so that's just one that I particularly love, the idea of free. And you see in this image here, this person has the mouth bound, and it looks like their arms are pulled back behind them. And there is this horse, like a old-fashioned rocking horse or something like that, antique rocking horse. And just the idea makes me think of the Trojan horse, and this be careful of the gifts that you receive, look deeper and see what was the actual intention behind them. Some things like reject just says, oh, thank you so much, you gave me this. It's like, do you really have my best interest at heart? Or, is this really going to be to my benefit or not? So that's that. I just love that card. Learning from sorrow, taming the ego, invoking with makeup. And I've got to say, with invoking with makeup, that is I don't wear a lot of makeup, but I do know that I did do a lot of theater in the past. I do know the power of using makeup and creating your persona that way, of setting your intentions for the day when you apply it in the morning. Just a lot of power that we have. We build our character. We build the character that we're presenting using makeup. And that doesn't just have to be in the theater. It can be every single day. Crafting a shadow spell. Bonding with the elements. One of my favorite things to do is working with the elements, so I just really appreciate that that one's in there. Modifying the body. And we have, again, there's this really interesting theme that I noticed the first time through with this deck. In this case, the body modification is these piercings that are kind of caging the lips or the mouth. And just the idea of the restriction of a person's expression via the mouth, I think comes up as a theme here. And just this idea of what has been restricted for you. What do you need to say that you haven't been able to say? How can you control your speech or your again, your expression in a way that is more truthful to you, which might mean not saying things that you don't want to say, like being more careful about saying things that don't really support your best expression, as well as saying things that you do want to say. Meditating for deeper wisdom, recalibrating life's direction, observing the lunar cycle, which is always a really great practice to do. I just want to give you a feel for how the book works. And so here's observing the lunar cycle. And so the key themes are tracking the phases of the moon and daily lunar zodiac shifts, because the moon does move through a sign in 2.5 days. So you've got the 12 different signs, the 12 different moods of the moon through the course of the month. Harnessing divine feminine energy and allowing for introspection. Connecting with the element of water and the magic of mirrors. So, esoteric summary, the moon completes a full cycle approximately every 28 days and changes zodiac signs every couple of days, completing all 12 within that 28-day sidereal month. Consulting an ephemeris, pagan calendar, or zodiac app to track the moon phases and signs, and consider researching lunar calendars and their associated festivals beyond pagan esbats. So just some, and he goes on, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just like some really good advice just to get started in terms of how to track the moon phases. And so then the section activating the insight. Many witches observe lunar phases as markedly influential in magical work. Consider what you've learned about the full, new, waning, waxing, and eclipsed moon and how it interplays with your personal experience. Darker witchy types are often guided and driven by emotion. The moon oversees our inner landscape and emotional body. It may be a good idea to begin or revive a self-reflection journal that tracks emotional fluctuations alongside lunar shifts. So again, really good suggestions, ways to apply the content of the cards, which I think are really nice. And there's more, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. So that was observing the lunar cycle. Examining sex and gender identity. Healing with fashion. Really nice. Really, fashion is another great way to express yourself and to really let your unique self, your unique expression come forward. So I love healing with fashion. Navigating personal boundaries. And this card, I just want to show off the art here because the art is really amazing. And there is, this looks very Nine of Swords to me in the tarot. There's this kind of reclining figure, perhaps sleeping. There looks like their eyes are bound, or they're wearing a sleep mask or something. And there are these dolls kind of descending on them, the way the Nine of Swords hang over somebody in certain illustrations of that tarot card. There is multiple exposures. There are overlays and some things like that. I'm not sure exactly how, like in terms of each card, what techniques were used, but as I look through the deck, generally that's what I'm seeing is kind of this double exposure, overlays, kind of thing. There's the really interesting backgrounds of the cards, use a lot of antiques, and there's old lace, and there's kind of this kind of old like couch that the person's lying on, and the antique dolls, and that kind of thing. The props that are used throughout are just really they're really interesting, and a lot of times a little creepy because it is a Gothic deck. It is more for shadow work. But it helps stir up some of those things that might be harder to think about or harder to bring up and talk about regularly. This gives you an opportunity to bring those out and contemplate them. Dancing as spiritual communion. So again, really nice. And again, really interesting artwork. Obviously, there's a lot of nudity in the artwork, and it is photographic art by John Santerineross. I'm not sure how to say that name, but really interesting figure here with their arms kind of pulled back a little bit, holding these large fans, one in each hand, and they have like this kind of burlap bag thing over their head. It's secured around the neck. It kind of looks like the scarecrow in the Batman movies. So a lot of like exploration there. In terms of dancing, and in terms of the idea of the fan dance, which is something that covers and that reveals, and the kind of titillation of slowly opening up and understanding something better, revealing more, and so just really, there's really a lot in every image to focus on, to meditate on, to ask why. Why is this like this? You know, why is there a bag over the head, you know, to prevent sight? Well, you can actually see through burlap if it's over your head, I would think. I'm like, how do I know this? I'm pretty sure it's true, though. And so what is it doing? It's taking away the face, perhaps. Trying to get more of a neutral quality. Maybe it's trying to focus more on the body. So there are good things, really interesting things that you can do as you meditate on these and try to understand why, what is this bringing out for me? What expression is it asking of me as I work with this image? So contemplating diet and routine. And that's another, I want to go through this. I want to do these fast, and then I'm like, oh, but look how cool that is. There's this really weird, again, there's something around the mouth, and honestly, I can't quite tell what it is. It does look like an overlay or something that is interrupting that is in there. It almost looks like it's moving, but just again, the erasing of the mouth is just very interesting in this. So again, the mouth being where we take in, the mouth can represent hunger. It represents desire. And it does represent what we take in terms of nourishment. And so the obvious relevance there in terms of contemplating diet and routine. But the mouth can represent desires, and a lot of times our desires are taboo, and so we feel the urge to deny them or not to speak them, and sometimes it's just hard to ask, just generally hard to ask for what you want or ask for what you need. And so I find that this theme of the closed mouth being really interesting throughout this deck. Nurturing the inner child, honoring our ancestors, shattering the mental prison. Love this. Love this. There is a woman that's caught within some kind of frame, and she's got these arch of stars over her head. She's doing the mime thing of, I can't get out. And then up in the corner, there's another woman. They're both wearing white dresses, but one feels a little bit more freed, a little bit more. She's moving. It's a little blurry, so it implies she's moving. So yeah, love that. Shattering the mental prism. Loving your uniqueness, and this is it's just very cool. It's got the two twin, I think they're maybe candles or something, but whatever they, I'm not sure what it is. But the two identical things, but there's always uniqueness, even in things that look really similar. Sometimes there's a greater amount of difference on a deeper level between things that are similar externally. So again, good things to contemplate. Reflecting on vices. Again, really nice. It's not saying, it's not judgmental. It's not like you shouldn't have this vice. It's like, let's reflect on it. Let's think about it. Maybe it's useful to you. Maybe later it won't be as useful, but just reflecting on it, thinking about it, putting some perspective around it. Working with the nocturnal energies. Again, similar idea with a mask that is, again, constraining the mouth and jaw. Working with nocturnal energies. Balancing the natural and the urban. Very nice. Utilizing dark magical tools. Enchanting jewelry and accessories, another really nice topic. Generating self-confidence, I really love that. Assembling an esoteric symbol. And so really, I love doing that kind of work. That to me is very, one of my primary practices that I like to do is assembling an esoteric symbol. Honing psychic and empathic skills, really useful, really useful. Performing blood magic, communicating with the dead, transcending suffering. Wow, that is very spiritual, very spiritual. It's just like all the binding and the limitations and the reduction of and the denial of expression, I think, is the word that I'm going for. And then in working on when you cannot express something, when you just can't, how to transcend that and transcend suffering. Really, really powerful work here. Mourning life's hardships. Casting with water magic. And I'm just like, well, I don't I'm trying to remember. I don't think they have fire, air, earth magic. I think it's just that water magic. So again, a Scorpio deck, definitely. Like during the month of Scorpio, cast with water magic. But perhaps this can just simply be a reminder to, like we saw working with the elements before, and this might just be a reminder to work with whatever elemental energy that you need at the time. Accessing the web of life. Again, really powerful, really powerful. Divining the unknown. Studying global spirituality. Creating dark art, very appropriate for the season. And resting the mind and body. So you can see that there's just some really nice keywords in here, definitely some challenging imagery, but that is very useful for deeper work, for shadow work. I took a shadow work class once many years ago, and it was a tarot-based class. I started off using just a favorite tarot deck. I forget which one. It might have been my Druid Craft. And I found that I really wasn't able to go as deep with that deck as I had wanted to. And again, I'm not 100% sure which deck it was. I don't want to cast aspersions on that deck. It's one of my favorites. But I wasn't able to go as deep as I wanted to. And so I switched the deck out for the H.R. Geiger Tarot. And that just made a huge difference because it is dark art and much more challenging. And it brought out so many nuances for me in terms of my own shadow work that really allowed me to go deeper, to understand things better, to release things and that kind of thing. So I really do think that utilizing a dark deck like this, a Gothic deck like this, for the appropriate purposes of shadow work, of deep diving, of that Scorpio type of work, all of that's going to be really useful with a deck like this, really useful for a deck like a Gothic Witch's Oracle. So I want to give gratitude to Raven Digitalis and to the publisher, Crossed Crow Books, for gifting me this deck to do this video. And I love this art by John Santerineross, and I do hope that you like it too. So thank you very much, and let me know if you like these flip throughs in the comments, and if so, I'll do some more.